Hiya folks, Toad here with Visordown.com and welcome to Triumph. And why are we here? Well, you can see it, it's right in front of me, and it is the new Speed Triple 1200 RS. And this is the first time I've seen the bike in the flesh. We've had a little press briefing about it already, and I'm stood with the man behind the machine here. We have Stuart Wood, and he is going to tell us all about Triumph's latest and best and fastest roadster ever to roll out of the Triumph factory. Stuart, thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome.
During these strange times. This is about as close as I get to riding a motorcycle at the moment. It is most unusual. But here we have it. So this is the new bike, and it's been eagerly awaited and much talked about. I mean, pretty much as soon as Triumph brought out the Street Triple, where we went to Cartagena and had a lovely time riding it around there, there was the new front end headlight arrangement. Kind of as soon as that launch ended, everyone's eyes were on the Speed Triple to see when it was gonna drop and when it was gonna land. And here it is, and it's an impressive looking thing. Just some high level stats for you guys at home. So the big news obviously is the engine has gone up from 1050 of the previous Speed Triple. We're now at 1160cc, hence the 1200 name tag. We've got 180 horsepower, so this is the most powerful three-cylinder roadster Triumph have produced, yep. I'm guessing. We've got, so that's a 30 PS increase on the previous bike, and we've got 125 Newton meters of torque, which is about 8 Newton meters more than before, or 92 pound-foot as it stands at the minute. So, talk to us a little bit, because in the press conference that we had yesterday afternoon, you talked about this being the lightest Speed Triple, sorry, shouldn't say that, that you've produced, and also slimmer and smaller and more compact and more mass centralized, but it's got a bigger engine. So how does that work? How have you managed to create that sort of magic remedy there?
Okay, well, interestingly, it's all about everything. Mm-hmm. It is a completely new motorbike. So it's a new chassis, new engine, every component. So it's given us the opportunity to start with an aspiration, start with a vision of what we wanted to achieve and deliver it. A lot of hard work, a lot of detail. The start point, as you mentioned, was more performance, lighter, and mass centralized. So starting with the engine, to get more performance, we needed to change the architecture. We wanted a bigger bore, we needed bigger capacity, we wanted a bigger bore to get more air into the cylinder, to allow us to fit bigger valves, a shorter stroke to let it rev a bit more. So that was the start point, but we wanted to keep it in the same package size. Okay. So there was a limit on what we could do with bore size, and it was a good limit. It's a nice balance. This engine is smaller in dimension than the previous Speed Triple. Okay.
Physically overall.
Physically smaller. Okay. Only just size and height. It's lower, but it's a lot shorter. Okay. We've got a stacked gearbox now, again, because we could start again and completely redesign this engine. And we would have had to anyway. For the amount of performance we're trying to achieve, every component downstream clearly has to be redesigned to take that load. Anyway, once you've shortened the engine, you've got more space in the central package to package some of the parts that would have previously been towards the ends of the bike. So, bigger capacity engine with much more performance. In a smaller package, facilitating the chassis packaging to get the mass centralization. So it all comes together, all works together, and that mass centralization helps you then design a bike that can control and deliver the extra performance as well.
So it sounds like just more bang per buck all round. It's a win-win situation on all fronts on that
Everywhere,
one.
absolutely.
Just for those who don't know, because I'm going to be completely honest, I don't, a stacked gearbox, you just spoke about that. What's the difference in the gearbox design and construction over the previous model? Very simply,
the previous model had the crankshaft, then the input shaft to the gearbox, then the output shaft to the gearbox, all in a straight line. Now we have the crankshaft. The input shaft for the gearbox is higher, and the output shaft is lower. So you've taken those two shafts and tucked one underneath the other. So it shortens the engine and makes a tighter package.
And I think I also remember you saying from the presentation that we had, the swing arm's actually longer because you wanted to maintain that wheelbase and that sort of overall stance and feel of the bike. Absolutely. So you've had to extend the swing arm to reach the engine effectively because it's now further away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. The swing arm or the engine's about 70 millimetres shorter, so the swing arm is about 70 millimetres longer.
Significant,
It's
isn't
a
it?
big change. So it's a big architecture change for the bike, and it's been really, we've maximised the benefit of that to design the bike the way it is.
Cool. And it seems stupid not to do it, so I've got to ask the question, and you're probably going to answer yes. You've got the Moto2 engine development program for the Moto2 race bikes, the Street Triple 765 engine that's in that. Has any of that know-how, has any of what you've learned from the Moto2 Championship gone into this engine? Because I know it's not exactly the same, but it is an inline 3-cylinder configuration. There's got to be some crossover in knowledge and technology in there somewhere.
Absolutely. The team that designs the engines for racing is the same team that designs the road engines. Okay. So the bigger team, the whole of the powertrain team is one team within the design office, and all of the learnings, so your friction reduction, your improvements in breathing, your better combustion, your higher performance, higher combustion pressures, all the things that you would want to do for racing, you can then learn, dial back into your road bikes. But you also, because we've taken the Moto2 engine and then done a version of that engine for the Daytona 765, we know how to make that production durable.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So the race engines are very well maintained. Your technicians will be changing oil regularly. The engines get rebuilds, and they're very well looked after, and it's a very easily definable load condition. Really tough on them, but really easy to define.
You know where it is in that
You know
envelope,
exactly what it's going to do. With a road bike, you might have someone who commutes every day, or someone that track days every time they go out.
Yeah.
Okay, and you've got to allow for all of that. So yeah, we've got the crossover both ways, and it's a real benefit to the road bikes.
So you, one of the things that you mentioned in there, sort of filtering down from the Moto2 development program, was breathing and airflow. That's so important in an engine with regards to Euro 5 regulations. Just want to say as well, I think it's really good that you've not done what every other manufacturer is, which is build up the capacity of the engine, get it through Euro 5 and give it an extra 6 bhp. It's got like a big significant jump in the brake horsepower, which I think is wicked. With regards to the Euro 5, I mean, how do you compromise between getting it through the regulations and the noise regulations and emissions bollocks and still getting the performance? I mean,
okay,
how do you do it effectively?
It's considered from the outset. You're fundamentally designing a clean, efficient engine, making decisions that will produce the lowest amount of emissions at source, so you've got less to clean up. So the catalyst requirement is less than if you had just a high performance engine that you had to make street legal. Okay, so there's considerations in this engine from day one that have allowed us to do that. So for instance, we talked about breathing. We've got bigger throttle bodies on here, gone up from 44 to 48 mil. We've got a bigger piston that allows us to have bigger inlet valves, bigger exhaust valves, allows you to breathe better. We're running higher compression ratio. That allows the engine to be more efficient. We've made a very, very light valve train. We've spent a lot of money, a lot of time, and expensive components to make a light valve train, which allows us to open and close valves as rapidly as we can, so that we can get the air into the cylinder, but without as much cam overlap. So again, the engine's very clean.
And they're finger followers.
Absolutely, that's all part of it. The finger followers, we've got oval wire valve springs. We've gone to minute detail to reduce mass in that valve train. I'd love to see
inside the engine on this thing, actually. It sounds quite special. So we've spoken quite a lot about the engine. The chassis setup, I mean, you've said the frame is all new. It might look familiar to you, but you're going to tell me that it bears no resemblance to the old frame in any way, shape or form.
9.2 kilograms, previously 11.1.
Just the
frame. Just the frame, as if you picked it up from machining.
And how much lighter is this engine compared to the old engine?
7 kilograms.
Bloody hell.
They're massive differences. They're massive differences. And this is because we've managed to, and that engine, and as I said, every component downstream from that piston has to take significantly more load. You're 20% up on power. Yeah. It's quite a lot. And you have to take all of that and still make the engine 7 kilograms lighter. Frame as well, every component has had attention to detail, so it's, apart from the packaging, the technical detail has been taken to the nth degree, again, to reduce the mass and to make this package work. So we're not just mass centralised. If you look at the bike from above there, you can see how much narrower it is as well.
It does look a lot narrower, I can vouch for that.
Yeah.
And also the tank looks, the tank on the old one, it was like, you did a track day at Donington and going down the back straight, it was like you could have a picnic on it. It was that big. And this tank seems to be much smaller and much more svelte. And
it's exactly the same capacity,
right.
15.5 litre tank. But the lines of the bike overall are cleaner, more pure. It's a very elegant motorbike, but with all that performance.
It's still got that unmistakable silhouette to it, hasn't it?
It's got attitude.
Yeah, you can tell it. You can tell it a mile off. So it's the lightest overall, which is this is 198 kilograms wet.
Correct.
And the old bike was
188.
So the performance gains from that. Talk us through some of those. So how's that affected the acceleration, the 0 to 60s, the 50 to 80s, or all those sort of numbers that make us all excited?
All right, now that 20% more engine performance, 10 kilograms lighter, overall 26% better power to weight ratio. That's phenomenal, okay? In context, if you're on a track day, 0 to 60 will be a bit quicker, but you're traction limited, okay? That's the limit. If you're talking 0 to 100, this bike will be about a second quicker. That's significant.
Yep.
0 to 120, about 1.9 seconds quicker. That's pulling hard, where you were starting to notice you'd changed gear before.
Yeah.
0 to 140, 3.8 seconds quicker.
Bloody hell.
That is ballistic. That's fast. At that point, you're talking a 0 to 140 of 10 seconds instead of nearly 14.
Yeah, that's quite big.
So that, but all completely under control. Yeah, and this bike has got fine road manners. It's intuitive handling, intuitive throttle control. It's not going to surprise you. It's just going to please you. Yeah, it's going to do what you want to do when you twist the throttle. When you decide you want to turn, it'll do the work for you.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing, because the Speed Triple, I mean, yeah, it's always been a big, powerful bike. You know, 150 odd horsepower or whatever is a lot, but it has always been rideable. And you did always feel that you could put somebody who'd maybe ridden a street triple or a 600 super sport bike for a year, you could put them on it and then have no problems whatsoever. So I suppose you've got to, it's that balancing act that we talk about. You've got to be able to make it fast and powerful and responsive, but still accessible for all riders effectively. Yeah,
well, you've got the electronics as well that are there in the background to help you if you need it. We don't want them, we want it to be unobtrusive.
Yeah.
We don't want the electronics to make the bike feel different to ride. We just want them there if you need them, okay? So you've got corner optimized ABS and corner optimized traction control.
Yep.
You've got riding modes that you can select through the menu on the dash.
Yeah.
You've got track mode as well.
Cool.
So that includes track ABS.
Okay.
And traction control. So if you select those, you really shouldn't feel them being at all intrusive.
Okay.
If you're riding to put a lap time in, no problem at all. They will be there.
Turn them off altogether? That doesn't in that track road?
No.
But can you go into the menus and switch off things like the ABS or?
You can't switch off ABS.
Right.
It's a homologated requirement that ABS on a street bike is available.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a legal ABS setup, but the road setup is for the road, and the track setup is optimized for the track. Okay. You can switch your traction control off.
Ah, okay, cool. That's handy. Good for the wheelies. Noted. We also, I don't think you mentioned it yet already, but this has got a very, very small amount of linked braking effect on it from front to rear, hasn't it? So when you pull the front brake, you get a small amount of brake pressure going to the back wheel as well. Is that a Euro requirement? Is that something
No.
for regulations? What was the
No, that was an
thinking?
opportunity. That was something that we could do. We've got a more sophisticated ABS modulator with an integrated IMU, which allowed us the option of linking some rear brake. Now, we've used that to benefit of stopping distances and control when braking at the limit. So we can tune and dial in exactly how much rear brake you get when you pull the front brake lever. And it just makes for a more stable, quicker stop when you need it.
So, this is the new Speed Triple RS. You might be wondering where the R and the S is, and the R and the S of the Speed Triple range are no more, and that's not marketing bollocks, that's actually, they're not doing it anymore. So the Speed Triple RS is the only model of the Speed Triple that you are going to be able to buy today, tomorrow, or in 10 years' time. So just talk us through a little bit why you've done that, because there were sort of lower spec models in the Speed Triple range, and now we've kind of just got this Uber halo bike, as it were. What was the thinking behind that, Stuart?
Okay, well, we talk to our customers a lot. We talk to potential customers as well, so people who are buying competitors' bikes, and we get a very good understanding of what those people really want a Speed Triple to be. Okay, and it was absolutely conclusive. As you know, we have offered those models in the past. We can do that, but that wasn't what our customers were telling us. They were telling us that this was the bike the Speed Triple should be, and it's allowed us to focus completely on delivering the best possible RS we could.
So, for those of you that don't know, this is the new Triumph Speed Triple 1200 RS. It is £15,100 and it is going to be in dealers by mid-March, you are saying. So, if you're allowed to go to your local dealer by that point, which let's hope that we are, because I'm getting seriously bored sat at home, get yourself down and have a little look and check it out, and they should have bikes for you to go and demo. Just this model, but there are two colour versions of it. So we've got this bike here that you see before us, and there is another one which is the
Sapphire Black.
That's the sapphire black, sort of metallic-y sort of finish on that one.
This is a matte silver ice.
It does look very nice up close. If I was going to have one, I'd probably go for this one, just for the matte finish and the little yellow decals. And they all come with the carbon front mud guard, don't
Correct,
they?
absolutely.
But there we are, I've been towed. Thank you, Stuart, for having us along to have a look at this wonderful machine, and I look forward to riding it very soon.
Cheers, thank you.